Welcome, beautiful damsels. The most terrifying thing in this world isn't a roaring lion, it's the silent predator you never see coming. Sigma females are precisely that, the quiet disruptors of the social hierarchy. They don't demand attention, they don't follow the herd, and they certainly don't play by anyone's rules, and yet their mere existence sends ripples of unease through those around them. Why? Because they challenge the very foundation of how most people think, act, and feel, and they do it effortlessly. Here's a fact for you. Studies suggest that people fear what they don't understand more than what they do. Combine that with the fact that Sigma females are practically walking paradoxes. Fiercely independent yet magnetic, unyielding yet oddly approachable. And you have a recipe for quiet chaos. But here's the kicker. These women don't even realize the effect they have on others. Their natural instincts to defy norms, embrace solitude, and speak the truth unsettle people in ways that range from mild discomfort to full-blown existential crises. Let's be honest. When was the last time a polite social butterfly made you question your entire life? So buckle up. This isn't your typical guide about strong, mysterious women. This is about the unintentional psychological horror show a Sigma female stars in daily, without even trying. Number 1. Hold grudges quietly, yet permanently. When a Sigma female holds a grudge, it doesn't come with dramatic arguments, slammed doors, or fiery confrontations. She won't make a scene or let you know you've crossed her. She simply cuts you off completely and quietly. And that's what makes it so unnerving. One moment you're in her orbit, basking in her calm and compelling energy, and the next you're gone, like a deleted file. No explanation. No warning. Just silence. What makes it even more horrifying is the permanence of her decision. This isn't a case of, I need some space, or let's take a break. Once you've been erased, you're done. She doesn't revisit burned bridges, doesn't entertain apologies, and doesn't leave the door ajar for you to squeeze back in. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. She sees no point in wasting her energy on someone who has proven unworthy of it. This quiet removal feels devastating because it forces you to confront her silence. Most people can't handle the absence of closure, and that's exactly what a Sigma female leaves behind. There's no explanation to dissect, no final argument to rehash. You're left to wonder what you did wrong, replaying every interaction like a bad movie on loop. The weight of her absence speaks louder than any words ever could. It's not about revenge or spite. For the Sigma female, it's self-preservation. She's not interested in drama or proving a point. She simply protects her peace. But for those on the receiving end, it's like being frozen out of a world you didn't even realize you depended on. And that's the terror, a complete and final removal that leaves you feeling irrelevant in her universe. Number 2, show no desire to fix anyone. The Sigma female doesn't fall into the trap of trying to fix or mold people into something they're not. She understands a simple truth that eludes many. People only change when they want to, not when someone else wills it. This isn't a lack of empathy, it's clarity. She sees no value in wasting her energy on people who refuse to take accountability for themselves. Her mindset isn't about coldness, it's about respecting autonomy, even when it leads others to their own failures. This approach, however, can feel jarring, especially to those who have grown accustomed to being coddled, guided, or endlessly supported. In a world where many people build relationships on the unspoken expectation of fixing or saving each other, her detachment lands like a gut punch. She doesn't offer unsolicited advice, doesn't entertain endless venting sessions, and certainly doesn't play the savior. It's not her job to rescue anyone, and she knows it. Her silence in moments when others crave validation or pity feels alien. Her lack of intervention can feel like abandonment or worse, apathy. But in reality, it's neither. She believes in self-reliance, and her actions reflect this belief. Instead of stepping in, she creates space for others to figure things out for themselves. For some, this is liberating, a rare show of respect for their ability to navigate life. For others, it's horrifying, a stark reminder that they can't always depend on someone else to clean up their mess. The Sigma female's refusal to fix anyone isn't about selfishness, it's about boundaries. She knows her energy is finite, and she invests it where it matters most, on people who value it and on herself. For those used to being saved, Her detachment isn't just unsettling. It's a mirror reflecting their own unaddressed weaknesses. Number 3. Create emotional mirrors that reflect brutal truths. A Sigma female has an uncanny way of holding up a mirror to others without even trying. She's not manipulative or theatrical about it. It's simply a side effect of her emotional depth and unflinching honesty. When someone interacts with her, they often end up seeing parts of themselves they've long avoided. It's not her words that cut, it's the reflection of their own emotions that leaves them rattled. Her ability to mirror emotions is so natural it's almost eerie. If you're insecure, you'll feel the weight of your self-doubt magnified in her presence. If you're hiding behind bravado or pretending to be something you're not, she won't call you out, but you'll feel exposed anyway. There's no facade thick enough to withstand the quiet clarity of her presence. And this isn't intentional on her part. She doesn't set out to reveal anyone's flaws. It just happens because she operates from a place of authenticity, and anything less is starkly apparent in contrast. What makes this unsettling is that most people live with carefully constructed facades, roles they play, lies they tell themselves to keep going. Around her, these facades crack. People are left face to face with the version of themselves they've tried to bury. It's not an accusation or a judgment, but it feels like one because it's undeniable. This isn't malice, it's just who she is. A Sigma female doesn't coddle people with false reassurances, nor does she engage in shallow flattery. Her presence alone becomes a kind of emotional truth serum. For those who are comfortable with themselves, this is refreshing. For those who aren't, it's downright horrifying. A confrontation with the person they've been avoiding in the mirror for far too long. Number 4. Detach from the idea of belonging. The Sigma female's independence is not just a choice, it's her natural state. While most people spend their lives seeking belonging, fitting into groups, aligning with communities, and shaping their identities around shared connections, she steps away from it all. She isn't lonely, and she isn't rebelling for attention. She simply doesn't need the external validation that belonging provides, and that unnerves those who can't imagine life without it. Her detachment isn't about rejecting others, it's about embracing herself. She knows who she is, what she values, and what she stands for, with or without external approval. This makes her deeply unsettling to those who rely on the comfort of groupthink or the safety net of collective identity. To them, her independence feels alien, even threatening, because it shines a light on their own reliance on systems she effortlessly dismisses. What truly shakes people is how easily she walks away from environments that no longer serve her. She doesn't cling to relationships, jobs, or social circles out of obligation. While others tolerate mediocrity for the sake of belonging, she doesn't hesitate to leave and carve her own path. Her departure is often interpreted as arrogance or coldness, but it's neither. It's simply her refusal to sacrifice her authenticity for the illusion of inclusion. In a world where fitting in is often seen as the ultimate achievement, her detachment feels like a quiet rebellion. It forces people to confront an uncomfortable truth, that their sense of identity may be more tied to their group than to themselves. The Sigma female doesn't just reject belonging, she redefines what it means to truly stand alone, and in doing so, holds up a stark contrast to the collective dependency most people unknowingly rely on. Number 5. Forge her own moral code and live by it. The Sigma female is a law unto herself, not because she's rebellious for the sake of it, but because she refuses to accept societal norms as gospel. While most people navigate life by defaulting to the rules, traditions, and expectations handed down to them, she takes a different approach. Her decisions are guided by her own internal compass, one she has carefully crafted through introspection, experience, and an unwavering sense of integrity. This moral independence is unnerving to those who've been conditioned to obey without question. Most people rely on the safety of external guidelines, what's legal, what's expected, what's popular. The Sigma female's ability to step outside these frameworks and assess situations on her own terms feels dangerous to them. She's proof that authority isn't always right and tradition isn't always wise, a perspective that shatters the illusion of order many people cling to. What's even more unsettling is her willingness to act on her convictions, no matter the consequences. If a law feels unjust or a tradition oppressive, she doesn't hesitate to go against it. To her, compliance isn't a virtue. It's a choice, and one she won't make if it conflicts with her values. This terrifies people who equate rule following with morality because it forces them to question whether their own obedience stems from belief or fear. Her moral code isn't perfect, nor does she claim it to be. But it's hers, and that's what makes it so powerful. While others seek validation in conforming, she thrives in the clarity of her convictions. Her choices, bold and unapologetic, challenge the status quo simply by existing, leaving others grappling with the uncomfortable realization that rules aren't as fixed or as necessary as they once believed. Number 6. Force others to confront their complacency. The Sigma female doesn't need to say a word to make people uncomfortable. Her actions speak louder than any lecture ever could. Her relentless ambition and laser-focused determination are a stark contrast to the complacency so many people settle into. She doesn't flaunt her achievements or criticize others for their lack of drive, but her very existence holds up a mirror that forces people to confront the areas of their lives where they've grown stagnant. Her energy is magnetic, yet unsettling. She moves with purpose, every step intentional, every decision aligned with her goals. Watching her, people begin to feel the weight of their own excuses. The projects they've been putting off, the dreams they've abandoned, the routines they've fallen into. All of it comes rushing to the surface in her presence. She doesn't call them out on it. She doesn't have to. Her quiet, consistent progress shines a harsh light on everything they've been avoiding. What makes this even more unsettling is that she isn't trying to compete with anyone. She's in a league of her own, focused entirely on her journey. There's no need to boast or compare. But for those who measure themselves against others, her self-sufficiency and drive feel like a silent judgment. Her success isn't a reminder of what's possible, it's a reminder of what they haven't done. For the unmotivated, her presence becomes an uncomfortable truth they can't escape. She forces them to face the reality that complacency is a choice, not a condition. And that's the real terror, realizing that the barriers holding them back aren't external, but self-imposed. The Sigma female doesn't just thrive, she inadvertently exposes the cost of settling for less, leaving those around her grappling with their own potential and their failure to act on it. Number 7. Unintentionally attract the broken, then let them break themselves. The Sigma female has a calm, grounded energy that acts like a magnet for people who feel lost, broken, or in need of direction. To them, she seems like a safe harbor, a steady presence in a chaotic world. They mistake her independence and emotional strength as an invitation to unload their baggage, hoping she'll offer the kind of nurturing and guidance they've come to expect from others. But that's where the misunderstanding begins. Unlike natural caregivers, the Sigma female doesn't adopt the role of a fixer. She isn't someone who will coddle, console, or shoulder someone else's burdens. While she may listen or even offer blunt truths, she draws a firm line when it comes to emotional dependency. To her, carrying someone else's unresolved pain isn't an act of kindness. It's a distraction from her own growth. She believes in self-responsibility, and she expects others to confront their struggles head-on. This detachment terrifies those who aren't ready to face their own darkness. They come to her looking for rescue, only to realize that she won't play the savior. Her refusal to enable them isn't cruel, it's honest. She understands that real healing doesn't come from external help but from within, and that's a truth many people aren't prepared to accept. The most unsettling part? She doesn't force them to leave. She simply lets them stay in her orbit until they realize she won't fix them. And that's when they often break themselves. They either spiral deeper into their struggles or find the strength to rise on their own. Either way, the Sigma female holds firm, not out of indifference but out of respect for their journey. For the broken, this can feel like abandonment, but in reality, it's the ultimate act of emotional clarity. Number 8, operate on a timeline no one understands. The Sigma female exists outside the constraints of conventional timelines. While the world races to meet deadlines, adhere to milestones, and conform to the ticking clock of societal expectations, she moves at her own pace. Her timeline is dictated by her intuition, her goals, and her unique rhythm, never by external pressures. This refusal to follow the crowd's schedule doesn't just confuse people, it deeply unsettles them. She doesn't rush to hit life's so-called important benchmarks like climbing the career ladder by a certain age, settling down, or ticking off traditional achievements. Nor does she delay herself for anyone else's comfort or expectations. If she's ready to make a bold move, she'll do it, even if the timing seems strange to others. And if she isn't ready, she'll wait without apology. This unpredictability makes her a wild card in a world that values structure and predictability. What unnerves people the most is how unaffected she is by their judgment. Those who live by strict schedules often see her as a threat to their worldview. Her freedom is a reminder that much of what they consider urgent is self-imposed. For someone who has spent their life racing against the clock, her calm, deliberate approach feels like a quiet rebellion against everything they've been conditioned to believe. This isn't about laziness or recklessness. On the contrary, the Sigma female is deeply intentional. Her refusal to conform isn't out of defiance, it's out of alignment with her own purpose. She knows that true success doesn't come from meeting arbitrary deadlines, but from doing things right in her own time. To those who rely on structure to feel secure, her autonomy makes her seem untouchable, even otherworldly, a living challenge to the tyranny of the clock. Number 9. Decode people's weaknesses in minutes. The Sigma female doesn't just watch people. She reads them with a precision that's almost unsettling. With a sharp, intuitive mind, she can decode the subtleties in body language, tone, and behavior that others overlook. Within minutes of meeting someone, she can pinpoint insecurities, hidden motives, and fears with startling accuracy, almost as if she has the ability to see through the walls people carefully construct around themselves. She doesn't have to dig deep or ask invasive questions. She just knows. What makes this even more disarming is that it isn't something she tries to do. It's not a skill she's consciously honed. It's just how she operates. Her instincts are so finely tuned that she can identify the smallest signs of discomfort, the slightest cracks in someone's facade, and the unsaid truths lurking beneath the surface. It's like having a radar that detects emotional vulnerabilities in real time, and that makes people feel exposed in ways they can't easily hide from. This ability doesn't feel like an interrogation. There's no pressure, no judgment, just an overwhelming sense of being seen. People often find themselves unraveling in her presence, revealing parts of themselves they've spent years hiding. They may not even realize they've done it. She doesn't pry or push. Her mere attention is enough to strip away the layers people wear to protect themselves. For those who are used to keeping up walls, this can be terrifying. To have someone understand your weaknesses and fears without a single word spoken is a confrontation most aren't prepared for. It's not that she's trying to manipulate or control. She simply sees, and in doing so, forces others to see themselves more clearly than they ever have before. Number 10. Disappear without warning. When a Sigma female decides to vanish from a social circle, it's not impulsive or accidental. It's deliberate, calculated, and always on her own terms. She doesn't make a grand exit or announce her departure. One day she's there, and the next, she's gone, without so much as a goodbye or explanation. To those left behind, it's not just a physical absence. It feels like an emotional void, a hole that can't be filled. This silent vanishing act is chilling because it doesn't come with the typical signs of distance. No drawn-out arguments, no passive-aggressive comments, no dramatic withdrawal. There's no closure, no room for resolution. It's like trying to hold on to something that simply disappeared into thin air. For most people, this is devastating. It isn't just that they've been left behind. It's the sense that they never mattered enough to warrant an explanation. In the blink of an eye, they've become irrelevant to her life. For those who have been conditioned to expect closure or emotional validation, this complete disappearance feels like a personal rejection on a deeply primal level. They can't help but question their own worth, wondering what they did wrong, why they were discarded so suddenly. The fact that the Sigma female never offers answers leaves them spinning, their minds racing through every interaction, searching for clues, even when there are none. It's this unpredictability that makes her so unsettling. She doesn't disappear because of conflict or frustration. She disappears because, in that moment, she simply doesn't need to be a part of your world anymore. It's a stark reminder that she doesn't cling to people for any reason. When she's done, she's gone, and there's no emotional aftermath to manage. The Sigma female is an enigma, an untouchable force in a world that thrives on predictability and conformity. Her behaviors may seem baffling, even terrifying to those who live by the rules of societal expectations, but in reality, they reveal an unshakable strength and authenticity. She moves through life without apology, guided by her own inner compass and indifferent to the pressures that bind others. Her independence, her refusal to bend, and her quiet power force those around her to face uncomfortable truths about themselves and the world they've built. To some, she is a mystery. To others, she's a challenge. But in every interaction, the Sigma female leaves behind a mark that cannot be easily erased. She doesn't seek approval. She doesn't fix what isn't hers to fix. And she doesn't pretend to belong where she doesn't fit. Her very presence forces people to reconsider their own complacency, their own attachments, and their own fears. And while it might unsettle or even alienate, it also offers the opportunity for growth, for those brave enough to face the reflection she holds up. The Sigma female is not here to make others comfortable. She's here to remind them that the most powerful thing one can do is live on their own terms. And in a world so desperate for conformity, that is more powerful than anything else. If you found yourself captivated by the untold power of the Sigma female, you're not alone. There's so much more to explore, so many layers yet to uncover in this extraordinary journey of self-discovery and independence. If you want to dive deeper into topics that challenge the norm and reveal the hidden truths about human behavior, don't miss out on what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this wild ride, where we don't just scratch the surface, we uncover the raw, unfiltered reality of what it truly means to live unapologetically. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment. Subscribe now, and let's continue to challenge the conventional, one incredible insight at a time. Thanks, damsels, for tuning in. See you in the next vid. Bye and stay blessed.